Hello. Hey everybody. Back up a little bit. Anyway, TruthSurge here. Feeling a little crappy today. I don't know why. Anyway, I had a few people interested in seeing me paint something instead of just posting the results. So I thought, well, heck, why don't I film a little of me painting this Ace Frehley t-shirt that I want to paint, and I'll, do some commentary along the way and explain what I'm doing. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. Let me just talk about the preparation, and then I'll do a really garish, hard edit, and then we'll be in paint mode. But first of all, you probably see this this stencil. I finally have it cut, and I've got it taped to my t-shirt, which is taped to a piece of cardboard. You just pull the t-shirt over the cardboard, take the arms back, take the bottom so that it's roughly flat and doesn't move around on you. And let me talk a little bit about how I made this stencil. I took a couple of Ace Frehley pictures off the web because I didn't like any single Ace that I saw, and I didn't want to copy the Dynasty one like the other guy did. So I found some Teen Beat magazine cover, and I got Ace off of there, and I put the eyes from Dynasty, and I got rid of those two little things under his lip and made a few other changes. So the Ace I'm using is just a composite. It's just one I made, so you're not going to find it on the web anywhere. And I didn't want to use the solo album because I didn't want to just copy some other artist's rendition. Although I like that, I like the way that guy did those solo albums. Guy, girl, I don't know. But I'll put that on the screen. So this is going to be what I'm shooting for. And I spent some time making this image of Ace on my computer, and then I traced it out on my computer in Photoshop with just a small pencil-like line. I made a transparency of that tracing, hide the layers except for the tracing, print it on a transparency, put that on an overhead projector, project that on the wall, and put your cardboard, and then trace it again with a magic marker, take that down, cut it with a box cutter, and then that's what you get. And then I left these lines. You'll notice these segments are not cut out like they should be, and that's because I needed my stencil to be one piece. If I cut these lines out, it would have separated this whole section, and it would have been separate pieces. It would have been harder to do. So so that's all the preparation just to get the stencil so that we can start painting, because the stencil is going to give us the major parts of the landscape, where things start and stop, where the nostrils are, the eyes, the eyelids, the makeup. So the stencil is basically our blueprint, and once we make our stencil, we don't have to worry about where things are. Ooh, did I put his eye in the right spot? It's already done. So this is basically going to stay up here until I get a good amount of paint on there. Right, Mr. Hughes? Mr. Tools wanted to come check everything out, make sure I was doing it properly. So, alright, so this is basically the preparation. Now put this remote down. The airbrush I'm going to use is not a t-shirt airbrush. I'll show you this airbrush. It is an Iwata. I can't go any further. It is an Iwata HPSB. It's got the side fill. So that way when I'm airbrushing, nothing's on top of the brush to obstruct my vision. It's pretty good. But it doesn't hold a lot of paint, so it's really not a good t-shirt airbrush. I mean, for, getting it done. It's really good for detail work and small work. But because I don't have a good airbrush, a t-shirt airbrush, I'm going to be using this one. So it's going to take me a little longer, but I don't want to use this other one I have that I don't like. So this is the brush I'm going to use. I've got an Olympus that would do a little more paint. but I'm just not going to use it. So it's more of a bigger kind of affair, but I still don't want to use it. I'm going to use this one. And why do I put masking tape on the handle? It just makes it easier to turn when I get ready to take it off. Anyway, that's what I'm going to be using. And the paint that I'm going to use is some new paint that I've never used before, but I think it'll work pretty good. Golden, can you see that? Golden fluid acrylics. So I've got magenta, yellow, and cyan. And I'm going to use some carbon black airbrush paint because the guy didn't send me the fluid acrylic black. I thought he would, but he didn't. So I'm going to just be using some airbrush black and some maybe Createx white. And later on, when I get some more stuff in the mail, I'll finish the shirt with an acrylic medium, iron it to heat set it, and then it should be good to go. Right, Mr. Tunes? Oh, you. Anyway, so I just wanted to kind of set this up a little bit and show you kind of what I'm shooting for. So anyway, now we got our stencil in place and we know kind of what we're shooting for with the reference photo I showed you earlier. We can turn our compressor on, sit down or stand up as the case may be, and start filling in some of the color inside the exposed areas of the stencil. Mainly the darker areas, the black of the makeup, the darker, you know, the eyelid, the eye, and the lips. We'll fill in some paint, then we'll take the stencil off and start freehanding and using freehand mask and different things. And we'll save the details for later. We'll try to block in the big stuff first. So anyway, here comes a hard edit. Okay, I'm now seated in a chair in front of the t-shirt, as you can see. Whoosh! And I've got my compressor on, and my head is shining very nicely. My goal at this stage of painting is to just block in some dark and establish, you know, the shape of things, you know, this outline, and you know. So I'm not going to try and paint it all in one swipe. So that's the deal with the airbrush. You never want to try and paint it all at once, because then, well, you could easily overshoot the value, go too dark, then you've got too much work to do. So I'm going to start off with carbon black. It's golden carbon black. It's not really a t-shirt paint, but it's the only black I have right now. And I'll just throw a few drops in here and maybe a bit more. And like I say, I'm just trying to get some color in here. Black's not a color, but some dark and some color later on. So I stirred up the black with some airbrush medium. Okay. And then normally I paint with a dust mask on. But maybe I'll be okay. So I'm just trying to darken in some color, some areas that I know, because I got my reference taped up to the wall, and I know, for example, this is going to be darker, but I won't go too dark because I got to repaint that. Blah 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 blah. So I'm just trying to paint in some areas. The eye is not going to get too dark because I got to make it brown. I don't want it to be too dull, and this is not going to be too dark. The nose, I'll probably won't even paint black. Paint with some blue. You know, the lip, I wanna leave some spots. So I'm not painting indiscriminately. I'm trying to render a little bit, some lights and darks. So I'm just gonna blast some areas. I have no idea really. I'll start on the eye maybe.